Hello, good morning, everyone. And for those who are watching us from a different time zone, good evening or good afternoon. So, this is Marilyn. I'm not so sure if it's your first time in this platform, so I'll just go ahead and introduce myself and my leader for today. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS, and we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive in all aspects by co-creating, contextualizing, and customizing programs with the help of our world-class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from over 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony Mobile, ProLife UK, Ayala Group, Tencent, Jollibee Foods Corporation, and Shell, to name a few. And the reason why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview that you are watching today, is because we would like to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the next normal, those who find it stressful to lead and ensure performance of a hybrid team, and those who are afraid that they can keep their team or their business. Yeah. So to be able to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation, we will be glad to have you, and we hope that you get value and inspiration from this conversation. And today it's my great pleasure to introduce our leader. It's good evening for him. Michael Hall, or Dr. Michael Hall, has long been recognized as a visionary leader in the fields of NLP and Neuro-Semantics. Upon learning NLP in 1986, he first applied it as a psychotherapist, then as a modeler of human expertise. From working with Bandler, he saw the downside of incongruence. He and Bob Bodenhamer co-founded Neuro-Semantics in 1996, while his doctorate was in cognitive psychology. After launching meta-coaching with Michelle Duval, he focused his attention on self-actualization psychology, which is today the theme of neurosemantics, unleashing potential in individuals and groups. Upon researching and modeling resilience of discovering the power of self-reflexivity, Dr. Hall developed the meta-states model in 1994, and thereby launching neurosemantics. The inherent creativity in the meta-states later led to the self-actualization quadrants in 2004 and the new human potential movement in 2005, axis of change, crucible, spiral of trust, and many other models. Believing in collaboration, Michael and Frank Puslik co-founded the NLP Leadership Summit in 2011, bringing NLP leaders together worldwide. A prolific writer, Michael has written more than 70 books with another 40 serial books, and serves as the academic research and director of neurosemantics. Without so much further ado, I'd like to invite Dr. Paul.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Marilyn.
Yeah, I'm really glad to have you here. The very first time I get to really know you is through Harvey Campos, and
Okay.
he invited me recently in your executive coaching program, and I was like so amazed with how you handle and do all these things, and I can attest to how amazing it is, how helpful it is, because it creates real outcomes.
Hmm.
So without so much further ado, I'd like to ask you the questions, so that our audience can learn from us. And also, this is an invitation for our audience to join us in this conversation. So my first question, or um, an invitation for you to actually share with us your leadership experiences, if you do have influencers or probably a favorite leadership style that you would like to share with us, please do so.
So over the years, I've seen a lot of bad leadership, and that's what I saw in the original when I went into the NLP community. That the leaders were not leaders; they were managers, maybe, and bosses, definitely, but they were not leading the minds and hearts of people, and they were not effective at congruency. They were not effective at communication. And so I kind of learned the dark side of leadership. And that led me to start studying leadership. And over the years, I've read, I don't know, maybe 1,000 books on leadership. Mm-hmm. And the person who's influenced me the most is Abraham Maslow. And the things he wrote about leadership in the 1950s and 60s.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, I've been hearing a lot as well, like how people do learn leadership from bad leaders, as you've mentioned. Right. And again, that's actually like a good, both a good thing and probably an unfortunate truth for us. Like the reason why I'm doing this is because of my experience also with bad leaders.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, like you said, this has inspired you to come up with neurosemantics as well, right? So, which is really the inspiration for not doing the bad things or following the bad leaders that you have, you have encountered in the past.
Right.
Yeah. So having said that, from your experience, what is leadership for you?
Well, so it's influencing the minds and hearts of people. A boss can control the behavior. It's not difficult to control behavior of people. If you use enough fear, enough threat, enough rewards, you can get people to do just about anything you want them to do. But they probably won't be following you. They'll just be reacting to the demands or the rewards that you offer. And so a leader is not a boss, but a person who influences the minds and hearts. So a leader has to, by communication, communicate in such a way that it wins the minds. And people start saying, I see the vision and the values that you're presenting. And they win the hearts as people go, sign me up. I want to be a part of where you're going. And so a famous quotation about leadership is a leader who turns around and sees no one following is out for a walk.
Thank you so much for defining very differently for us. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of Filipinos around leadership, and I would say this is one of the best definition of leadership. It's all about influence, right? It's all about inspiring others to actually follow you rather than just have a walk.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, in my introduction earlier, I mentioned about the next normal, and both the challenges and the opportunities that it has created for everyone of us, right? In your case, how would you define and describe the next normal?
Well, depends on what you mean by that. Because there's going to be many, many next normals. It depends what industry you're talking about, what country, what society. A lot of different normals that's going to come. Leaders lead change. And we live in a process world. Things are always changing. Nothing is going to stay the same. And so the question is, in what direction is it changing? What are the trends? And what will be the black swans that will occur that no one expected?
Wow, that's really beautiful. I mean, like again, we can define or we can actually attach definitions to what next normal is, right? And there will be again, like you said, there will be a lot of change. There will be a lot of next normal coming, and it's about being a leader, giving that change, right? For the better,
Yeah.
for our team.
Right. So when it comes to leadership, one of the distinctions we make in neurosemantics is there's so many dimensions of leaders. There's thought leaders, administrative leaders, there's charismatic leaders, heroic leaders, there's managerial leaders, there's transformational leaders, there's transactional leaders. So there's so many kinds of leaders. Oftentimes we just assume it's executive leaders, the ones who are making decisions that affect the lives of many other people. But there's many kinds of leadership, and in fact, leadership should be at every level in an organization all the way up. And there's many models of that.
I really love when you said that there are actually different types or dimensions of leadership or leaders. And again, just to remind everyone listening to us that it actually is not limited to the executive level, which we also like think of in general, right? And again, just to reiterate what you said, I really love it said that it has to be present in all levels.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that reminder. And so that brings me then on from your experience as a corporate leader or as a leader working with corporate leaders and an entrepreneur or a founder of Neuro-Semantics, what would you say would be the top problems that most leaders would normally face?
Well, once again, it's just such a broad stroke there. In any organization, you've got the titled leaders, and then you got the real leaders. A title does not make a leader. And in any organization, at any level, the person who is titled and given the authority to manage or lead oftentimes is not the leader. And people are not looking to that person, but looking to some other person who's the real leader. And so this is a question, I think, for every leader. Are you the real leader? And when in Harvard Business School, for years, have been running out a survey, what do you want in a leader? And the things that are at the top is, I want someone communicating to me. Let me know what's going on. I want someone congruent so that they walk the talk. And I want someone with integrity that what they say is the truth and they're not just pulling the wool over our eyes. And those are the top three that come out again and again and again. And it would define a real leader. So a real leader has some moral qualities, some ethical qualities that makes them, that they have earned the right to be followed. Mm-hmm. And a question I always ask leaders is, have you earned the right?
Wow, that's really great. You shared us around the Harvard survey around what people actually want to see on leaders, and that's the top three, as you mentioned, is communicating, congruent, and has the integrity, right? And again, it's not so much about the title, but how are you actually people? How are you leading others, right?
Yeah.
And having said that, I mean, it seems that you've answered my next question around the skills and capabilities a leader must have in order to lead their team, right?
Well, the reason I said that is because now that explains the problems that are very common. What are some problems in organizations or in a charitable organization? People don't believe the leader, they don't trust the leader, and they don't know what the leader's doing. The leader is not giving a vision and a strategy. Here's the future we're going to. Come follow me, because I'm walking that path. And so people are disconnected because all they get is maybe commands coming down, and they really don't know the person. And so those would be some problems inside organizations with leaders, that leaders are hiding behind a persona rather than just presenting their real self because they're scared of being open and vulnerable.
I really love what you shared around being vulnerable. And I think, gone are the days when leaders has to be like, showing very strong and all those stuff. And it's okay to be authentic and vulnerable as a leader, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that actually, it's interesting because nowadays it has been proven that it's worked better than being or showing up strong or that you know everything in the organization, right? Because it doesn't really happen as such, right? You can't be knowing everything, and that's the reason why you hire experts or people to help you in your organization, right? And that also like helps in what you've said around authenticity and being vulnerable actually build that relationship or trust within the team as well, right? And
Right.
that's what they have to do as a leader as well. I remember this talk I did last Saturday for the future of HR, and I listened to them a story where, like, as a leader, you have to be vulnerable, but there's always two sides of the coin, right? So we know, like, being vulnerable that cause something bad happen. And as a human, I'm still processing that. And you have to understand that shit happens, right? But at the same time, as a leader, you also like take accountability for the actions, the words, or
Right.
the thoughts
Right.
that you have when you are in the in front of your team as well. So I think like it's really being like able to balance both vulnerability and like accountability as a leader. And that goes for everyone. Like what you've mentioned, like leadership is at all levels.
Yeah. So you said a number of things there. Let me follow up on a couple. One is that today, the old military model and metaphor of a leader, the military leader, the general, the person who commands and controls, is probably the worst and least effective model of leadership. It worked in the 18th century, worked in the 19th century. In the 20th century, it stopped working. People don't want to be commanded and controlled. They want to be inspired. And so that leads to what is the new model? Well, the new model is collaborative leadership.
True.
And most organizations, even small organizations, one person just can't do everything. There needs to be a leadership team, collaborative leadership that together manages everything. And if there's a mistake, it's a shared responsibility.
Thank you for reiterating that for everyone of us. And again, we've always heard about collaboration, and there's also like a good reminder that there's no such thing as collaborative leadership, where accountability is shared by everyone, right? Leadership is shared by everyone as well. And again, gone are the days where the leaders are just there to direct and control and say everything that or command everything, right? Now people once again, like you said, people want to be inspired. And what works now is really like collaboration. And that has been proven for like years with statistics, surveys, and all those stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. With regard to leaders being afraid to make mistakes or afraid to be vulnerable, it's a common thing of leaders. They don't want to make a mistake. Well, that's understandable, but unless they're God, they're going to make a mistake. Unless they're infallible, because we're all fallible, we make mistakes. And the best thing we know is admit it as soon as possible and change direction. Here in the United States, we saw this with President Clinton years ago. In January of a certain year, he said, "I did not have sex with that woman." And for 6 months, the press just kept going after him and after because he would not acknowledge what was obvious. In August of that year, when he finally said, "Okay, I had sex with that woman," the controversy lasted 2 or 3 days, and then it was over. People are ready to forgive a leader if a leader will be honest and forthright. It's when a leader obviously is lying. The joke is, how do you tell if a politician is lying? Well, their lips are moving. But if a person will just tell the truth, even if it's unflattering, people will give the benefit of the doubt and be forgiving.
Yes, very true. And that's the reason why leaders should not be afraid of making mistakes and also forgive their team when they make mistakes. Because that's where we learn, right? And that's where we like, which direction should we go next then?
Yeah.
Right? So my next question, and that leads me to my next question, and which is probably an invitation for you to summarize or share with us what you believe would be the role of learning, leadership, and transformation in order to thrive.
Oh, a lot, really, a lot of really rich material there, because a leader should be a learner, should be an ongoing learner. And from what we know from Peter Singe and his work with the fifth discipline, an organization should be a learning organization, and learning quicker, faster than the competition is probably the best competitive advantage any organization can have if they're ready to adjust and adapt and improvise when things change. So the leader should be the one who leads the learning. And when we learn that, well, that's now old and it's not working anymore, and making that change. So a leader is a change agent, facilitating change in individuals and in the whole organization. And so, yeah, it's all tied together.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I really love that you shared like how important learning or continuous learning is in the culture of organization. And and as you mentioned, it gives you a competitive advantage to the competition, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And that leads me now to my next question. These are the last two questions I have for you are, I would say, very interesting questions, which I would normally you say that these are Miss Universe questions. So in your case, it's gonna be a Mr. Universe question. So and it's interesting. I was actually attending a training before this conversation, and this is the next question I have for you is actually homework. A question that we have to answer tomorrow session, which is if you have a magic wand and you can use it, what will you do with it?
I would help leaders realize that there's three bottom lines to an organization. And this comes from Abraham Maslow. It is obviously you need to survive. So profit. We need to make profit. But the profit only comes when people are with their minds and their hearts, they're on board. So you got to take care of people. You got to develop people, grow people, bring them up to be the next level of leaders. It was Jack Welch who said, the leader's job is not to create followers. A leader's job is to create leaders.
Exactly.
And we want our people to excel what we've done. So developing people. And then purpose. There's got to be some meaning or purposefulness in the organization above and beyond just making money and developing people. And these three bottom lines fit with the hierarchy of values, the hierarchy of needs that Abraham Maslow presented. The first two was survival and safety. Okay, so let's make a profit and let's make it a safe place to work, a good place to work. People and self-value. So let's let it be a place where people are growing and developing and they have good friends at work. And they wouldn't want to leave the work because a lot of their best friends and closest friends are there at work and they're sharing it with them and collaborating. And then the self-actualization needs for for contribution or difference or justice or fairness or beauty or order. We've got to have a purpose. And so an organization, if I had a magic wand, I would, and this is what I do when I go into companies, say, I won't work with you unless you've got 3 bottom lines. Because if your only bottom line is money, you will sell these people short for money. You will run them ragged and stress them out for money. So you've got to develop these people. But these people will only be on board if they think they're doing something that is changing the world. If there's a vision.
True. Yeah, I really love what you shared about the 3 P's. Again, that's people, purpose, and profitability. I mean, and again, it's very true that organization would always have a lot of focus on profitability, forgetting about sometimes and purpose. And nowadays, as we go here, right? Some people, especially millennials, they actually join companies for the purpose,
Yeah.
for the impact they can actually create in the world, right? So it's really amazing how you're actually doing your work, where you want to make sure that the people or the organizations that you work with, right, are those people who would actually value all of these 3 P's or these 3 bottom lines as you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that reminder. And again, as we both know, you don't need a magic wand to be able to create that. Or you are already doing so even without that magic wand. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Hall, for doing so. You're generally living your purpose and influencing. As a leader, you are influencing not only like the leaders or the organizations that you work with, but also helping other coaches to actually live their purpose through the work that you do. So that leads me now to my last question. If you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? What question will you ask yourself? And since you can best answer that, please do answer that for us.
Well, one of the most basic questions we have in NLP is about our state. Are you in the right state? People function really, really well when they're in the best state. It could be a loving state or a compassionate state, could be a on purpose, intentional state, could be a state of feeling resourceful and confident in whatever skills they're presenting. If you're in the wrong state, almost everything goes wrong. If you're irritable, grumpy, fearful, shaming yourself, if you're in the wrong state, even if you have the best skills and the best knowledge, you'll mess it up. So one question I always ask myself, just about every day and all the different is this the best state? Because if I'm not in the right state, it's going to be harmful, really, to the other persons. So what do I need to do to get myself in the right state of mind? And if I'm working with someone else, so that I'm caring about them and offering the best skills I can. It's about them, not about me, which also is a key to leadership. Leadership is not about the leader. It's about what the leader does with other people for the greater good.
I really love that you shared. That would be something I should remember asking myself if I'm in the right all the time. Right? So thank you so much for that question, which you have also gracefully and generously answered for us. And again, I really appreciate your time. I know it's like late night on your side of the world. You are here and you have shared with so much valuable ideas, so much valuable concepts, and a lot of reminders for leaders to take note of. To remember. and to be inspired for.
Hmm.
So thank you so much, Dr. Michael Hall, for your time, for this inspiring and these helpful conversations that we have just now. Before we end this conversation or this interview, is there anything else that you'd like to leave our audience with?
So the last word I would have for any leader is, what is your inspirational message? What do you want people to take away from after they are in your presence? If they walk away and they go, "That son of a bitch," that is not what we want. But if they walk away and they feel empowered, they feel, I'm a better person for having been in that person's presence. I feel a little bit more inspired to stay with it, to persevere, to be more caring myself. If that's so what message do you want people to take away when they leave your presence? Because they will take away something. And for every leader, it's up to you to create that atmosphere, to create that environment. So may you create a good one.
Thank you so much. And hopefully, through this conversation, our leaders will be inspired and empowered with what has Dr. Michael and whatever comments I have actually added from the generous learning that we had from Dr. Michael Hall. And again, this is an invitation for everyone to create a lot more opportunity to create the world that we want to live in and that we believe that we can actually have, right? So remember that even the richest investor in the world will say that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever make in your life. So with that, we would like to leave you with this quote from Dan Carter that if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, to learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. Thank you so much, Paul, and have a good day, everyone.